Why do we celebrate Shabbos? What's it all about? If you would have asked me this question a few years ago, I probably would have said, oh, everybody knows that. The Torah says that God created the world in 6 days and rested on day 7, and we remember that and honor that by resting ourselves on every 7th day also. But lately, I've been realizing that there are some serious holes with that answer. And not little holes, but like full 18-wheelers straight through them kind of holes. Like, first of all, why did God need to rest after creating the world? I mean, I'm sure creation was a lot of work, and if I threw myself into hard labor for 6 days straight, I would absolutely need a day to get my strength back. But I'm not an infinite and all-powerful being. God is. And all-powerful beings aren't supposed to need to take breaks and recharge. So why is God resting? And second of all, there's something strange about the way we celebrate Shabbos. Because the day is all about resting and not doing any work. And that seems to be a nod to the original Shabbos when God rested. But when you think about that, it actually doesn't make any sense. Like, as an example, imagine the government in Montgomery, Alabama, decided to make a Rosa Parks holiday. And they were tossing around ideas about how it should be observed. Maybe all of us should be free. Or maybe everyone should try to sit next to someone who doesn't look like them. And then one guy gets up and says, you know how after Rosa Parks' ride, she was really tired and she actually took a nap? So what if we observe the day by everyone taking naps? And then everyone starts nodding and saying, yes, good call. That is perfect. Everybody needs to remember the nap. That would feel like you're in the Twilight Zone. Nobody cares about the nap. We care about the ride. But guess what? We don't spend our Saturdays decorating globes with our kids, thinking of new things to create or tending to the earth. We spend them resting. And in Genesis, the Torah tells us what makes Shabbos so great, why it matters. And you know what it says? God blessed the 7th day and made it holy. He showed it was special to him because Kivo Shavat Mikol Melachto. Because that's when he rested from all of his work. So Shabbos wasn't special because the world was just created. It wasn't the big ribbon-cutting ceremony for the universe. It's special because of the great divine doze, the nap. Why is rest upstaging all of this seemingly way more impressive creating than happened before it? Something is clearly not adding up about what exactly Shabbos is all about. And maybe it's because this way of thinking about God resting as him taking a nap or recovering his strength, maybe it's a mistake. Maybe rest means something completely different. And in fact, I think that when you read the Torah carefully, it actually bears this out. Take a look at Genesis chapter 2, verse 2. Vayechal Elokim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa. God finished all of his work on the 7th day. Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. And he rested on the 7th day from all of his work. Now, maybe this verse is familiar to you from Kiddush. And maybe, like me, you're so used to it that it's hard to spot the glaring issue. But let's break it down. The second half clearly says that on Shabbos, God rested. All the work was done, and Shabbos was vacation. But now, look closely at the first half. Vayechal Elokim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa. God finished all of his work on the 7th day. Wait, what? God finished the work on the 7th day? That doesn't add up. God was resting on the 7th day. That should mean that God finished all of his work on the 6th day. And that tracks with what we know. God made Adam on day 6, and that was it. Humans were the last creation. So what was God finishing on day 7? And how could he be finishing and having his big day of rest at the same time? I think this paradox is actually the clue that cracks the case of Shabbos wide open. We just need to figure out how God could be resting and finishing creation at the same time. Is that possible? I think it is. What if, in order to complete creation, God had to rest? It sounds kind of crazy. Why would resting make anything complete? If I'm building a house and I put up the drywall, set up the plumbing, and it's all ready for someone to move in, then it's finished. It's not more finished if I take a nap afterwards. But maybe if we just think about rest a little differently, it's actually not that crazy at all. Let me explain. So let's say there's a writer. Let's call him Martin Q.Q. George. And he's writing this book. And it's got intrigue, betrayal, magic, and complex plot lines. It's an epic, epic work. And he's close to finishing. He's got a full draft, all the storylines wrapped up, things are looking good. The only problem is, it always feels like things could be better. One of the plot lines feels fine, but there's gotta be a better way to resolve it. And there's this one character whose dialogue just really needs to be sharper. Things like that. So the book is complete, essentially, but there are all these ways he could take it to the next level. And so Martin decides to spend a little extra time smoothing out all the edges. Only what ends up happening is, each time he reads over the manuscript, he finds more edges to smooth. And before you know it, years have gone by, and no book. Now, up to a certain point, wanting to get things perfect is totally understandable. No one's going to love reading a book with flat dialogue or tons of loose ends. But you know what else no one's going to love? A book you can't read, because it's never done. Now, maybe if Mr. Q.Q. George's book never sees the light of day, it's sad, but okay, it's a book. No big deal. Though I know members of a certain fandom that would disagree. But what if the thing that was stuck in editing limbo was something bigger? Something like, say, the universe? What happened during the 6 days of creation? Each day, God added more to the picture. Move the water there, add some stars, make these animals and people. What if God hadn't stopped there? What if he decided that there were edges to smooth? That humans would really be much better with opposable thumbs on their feet, and kale should be indigenous to Africa and North America, and platypuses would be much better off at the top of the food chain. And on it went. A tweak here, an optimization there, and creation just ran rampant, indefinitely. Maybe the world would have become more and more wondrous with every passing day. But it also would have been completely pointless. Because the world is meant to be lived in. Life is supposed to happen. History needs to unfold. Humans need their chance to strive and fail and grow. And creation was the setup for all that. If God had just kept on creating, and the setup never stopped, that would have meant that life would never start. What happened instead was Shabbos. God rested. In other words, he declared his work done. Because in the world of creation, rest is exactly how you finish making something. You put the pen down. You click save and step away from the keyboard and say, it's good enough. I'm not working on it anymore. It's the last step. The step that takes all the effort and potential and turns it into something. I think that's the resolution to our paradox. How God could be resting and completing creation in the same day. Because in God's decision to rest, he declared creation complete. He closed editing mode and pressed play on the universe. And I think this new way of seeing rest also answers our other questions about Shabbos and what it's really about. Because now we know why an infinitely powerful God needed a nap. He didn't. And it's also easy to see why we'd commemorate creation by resting. Because rest is what made creation mean something. Without it, creation would have been a whole lot of potential with no points, no end that justified all the effort. Rest is the transition from setup to payoff, from effort to reward. And I gotta say, for me, when I think about the emphasis on productivity that I think we see all over today, there's so much talk in articles and videos about maximizing efficiency, hacking ourselves in all these really clever ways to help us get more done. And rest actually figures into these conversations pretty often. Taking breaks, self-care, meditation. Basically, everyone recognizes today how important these are, but mostly as a means to an end, as a way to help you actually be more productive, right? Because the guy who takes care of himself won't burn out. and he'll end up ahead. And so I think about that, and then I think about this idea of Shabbos, how God celebrated rest because work needs to be complete at some point. You need rest to make it all mean something. And it makes me wonder, which way do I think about rest? About those moments where I'm just taking time and enjoying life? Do I see those as the moments that gave meaning to all the work that enabled them? Or do I see them as a means to an end, a way to help me get more done? And honestly, I think a lot of the time I treat rest the second way. But I'm trying to reflect more on this idea of Shabbos, kind of get it out of my head that the joy of existence needs to be justified, and let myself see time with friends and family, time that I'm so used to thinking about as a good recharge before getting back to the grind, for what it is. Not the space between the important moments, but the important moments themselves. To see rest not as pressing pause on the life I'm working for, but actually as pushing play.
Thanks for watching. Meaningful Judaism is a project of Aleph Beta Labs, and we're supported by generous folks just like you. Make sure to subscribe and go to alephbeta.org to find out more.